3 tips to improve your memory so that you can learn faster. Now, these are all proven and based on research on the human brain and memory. And so stay tuned till the end, because the last tip is what will really help you make long-term memories that you will never forget. Tip number 3 is to pay attention to your food. Now, have you ever noticed feeling really sluggish and not wanting to do anything after you've just had a cheeseburger? That's because science shows that what we eat has a huge impact on our mental performance and our mental agility. In fact, our digestive system is often referred to as the second brain, and that's because it is lined with millions of nerve cells and neurons that directly impact our mental performance. In fact, did you know that 95% of a neurotransmitter called serotonin, which our body produces to regulate our mood, our sleep, and our mental performance, is actually produced in our gastrointestinal tract? Now, what are the key things that we have to keep in mind when it comes to a brain-healthy diet? Number 1 is glucose. Now, glucose is a type of sugar that your brain uses as a form of energy. It's basically the fuel for the brain. Now, glucose isn't the sugar that's found in cupcakes and pastries, but is often found in starchy foods like bread, rice, potatoes, and even fruit. And because our brain is constantly running even when we're asleep, it requires 20% of the glucose that our body generates or produces. And so optimally, our diet should consist of 50 to 60% of these starchy foods or carbohydrates, which you can get from rice, bread, potatoes, and fruits. And second is to prioritize vegetables. Now, a study took a group of people and asked them to report what they eat, their mood, and their behavior for 30 days. And at the end, it was found that the first factor, what they ate, had a major impact on the other 2 factors of their mood and their behavior. So the people who had more servings of fruits and vegetables on a daily basis were found to have better mood, were found to be happier, and overall had better productivity. And this is because fruits and vegetables contain the vital nutrients needed for the production of dopamine in our body and brain. And this is key to uplift our mood, to have better productivity, and to perform better overall in life. Now, other than that, these vegetables and fruits also contain antioxidants, which help and have an anti-inflammatory effect on our body and brain, hence increasing and improving our memory. And number 3 is to balance your glucose levels. Now, our glucose levels tend to fluctuate throughout the day, and it's not really good for our brain and body to not have a stable amount of glucose throughout the day. So to help this, you can keep your meals balanced throughout the day instead of starving yourself all day and then binge eating at night. Tip 2 is environment. Now, have you ever found that your ability to focus is better when you're in a particular place, such as a coffee shop, a library, or even your desk? Now, this is because our brain tends to associate a location with a specific task that we like doing there or that we do there. For example, if you use your bed to only sleep, don't eat there, not use your phone there, and not work there, your sleep is very likely to get better. Similarly, if we choose a specific spot or location to study or learn, such as your desk or even a coffee shop, then our ability to absorb information and learn and memorize new information will get better because our brain will start to associate that location with a specific task. Now, make sure to choose a spot that is, 1, comfortable, because you want to be able to invest all of your attention on the task that you're doing instead of being bothered by your chair or your table. And 2, it should be well lighted, because science has found that students who study in naturally lit spaces tend to have 25% better grades than those students who study in dimly lit spaces. And 3rd, noise. Now, this depends on your personal preference, but if you're someone who needs to have quiet and can't have any noise around them in order to focus, then you should find a spot where there isn't noise around you. Or you can also use noise cancellation headphones and play some frequencies or music that are designed to aid your focus. Now, I found that when I allot a specific space to learn or study, I am more likely to be able to focus and get straight into deep work and deep study as soon as I'm in that location. Because when I sit there, my brain is very much more inclined to do what I've trained it to do. Before moving on to the next tip, if you're new on this channel, then I am Emma Alam, the World Memory Champion, World Speed Reading Champion, World Mind Mapping Champion in the junior category, as well as holder of 2 Guinness World Records. And here on YouTube, I share quick and effective tips on memory, speed reading, learning, and much more. And so if you found this video useful so far, then don't forget to click the like and subscribe button for more tips. Now, tip 1 is emotions. Now tell me, what defines a strong memory? It's the emotional content that it has. If you've noticed, your most strongest memories are the ones that have the most emotional content. For example, it could be an embarrassing moment at your school, or when your teacher appreciated you in front of the whole class and you felt happy that you were being appreciated, or when your family member passed away. And this is because when you have emotional content with a memory, this activates a part in our brain called the amygdala. And this boosts any memory due to an increase in attention and perception. Now, how does this relate to learning? Well, we can make our exam material more memorable by adding emotions to it. For example, if you want to memorize the 4 main oceans, which are Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, and Arctic, you can use your emotions in order to remember them. For example, let's imagine that you are standing on top of the Atlantis Hotel in Dubai. You look down and you're just scared to death because what if you might fall over? You feel fear creeping into you as you look down and afraid you're gonna fall down. When suddenly a huge pacifier comes flying from in front of you and knocks you over. And you're falling off the hotel and you're scared to death. What if you hit the ground? But right as you're about to hit the ground, a huge Indian sari leaps you and swoops you off your feet like a magic carpet. And you're sitting on top of the Indian sari, swooning through the air. And where are you headed? You are headed to the Arctic, and you can feel the breeze of the cool air. You're relieved because you didn't fall down off the building. Now, you're very likely to remember this story because it involved emotions like fear, relief, and joy. And each part of the story is going to remind you of the information that you wanted to remember. So, for example, where were you standing? You were standing on the Atlantis Hotel, and the Atlantis Hotel will remind you of Atlantic Ocean. Then, who hit you in the face? A huge pacifier, and the pacifier is going to remind you of the Pacific Ocean. Then, as you were falling down, who came to the rescue? An Indian sari, and this is going to remind you of the Indian Ocean. Then, as you got swooped up by the Indian sari, where were you headed? You were headed to the Arctic, which will remind you of the Arctic Ocean. If you want to learn exactly how to create these useful stories in order to remember any kind of exam content, then you can watch this video right here in which I share proven memory techniques and apply them to memorizing exam material from economics and sociology so that you can learn your exam material 10 times faster. And until next week, be happy and be joyful.